All right, today we are pulling back the curtain on something called YouTube automation. I'm going to give you the exact blueprint, step by step, for building a content business that can, believe it or not, run almost entirely without you. Let's dive right in.
So, let's just start with the big question, right? Is it actually possible to run a successful YouTube channel without ever showing your face or even making the videos yourself? And the answer, which might surprise you, is a definite yes. The business model that makes all of this possible is exactly what we're going to break down today.
And that model is called YouTube automation. But look, don't let the name fool you, okay? This isn't some magic button you press. Think of it more like a business system where you're the manager, you're the strategist, you focus on the big ideas, while a team or even specific tools handles the nitty-gritty of script writing, voiceover, and editing. Your job is to run the machine, not build every single part by hand. Now, before you do anything else, and I mean anything, the most critical decision you're going to make is your niche. Seriously, this one choice will pretty much determine your potential earnings and your entire content strategy right from day one.
Okay, so what you're seeing here is super important. It all comes down to something called RPM. That just stands for revenue per mil, which is basically how much you earn for every 1,000 views. And as you can see, the difference is huge. High RPM niches like finance can pay anywhere from $10 to even $40 per 1,000 views. Now compare that to a low RPM niche like gaming, which might get a ton of views, but you're only getting maybe $1 to $3. So this is your first big strategic choice. Are you going to build a business on high value, maybe lower volume views, or one that needs massive viewership to make sense?
Once you've picked your niche, it's time to build out your content assembly line. And I love that metaphor because that's exactly what it is. A repeatable, 7-step system that basically every single successful automation channel uses to pump out videos consistently.
And here's that whole workflow at a glance. It starts with finding viral topics. And this is all about identifying what people are already looking for, not just guessing what might work. From there, it flows logically through scripting, voiceover, all the way to uploading. But here's the real key, the insight. Not all of these steps are created equal. In fact, a couple of them have a massively outsized impact on whether you succeed or fail.
And this is a point that I just cannot overstate. Your video could be an absolute masterpiece, but if the thumbnail is weak, nobody will ever see it. Why? Well, it's because the YouTube algorithm tests it. It shows your thumbnail to a small group of people, and if they don't click, the algorithm just assumes the video isn't interesting and stops showing it to anyone else. It's that simple, and honestly, it's that brutal.
So, what makes a great thumbnail? Well, it's not random. It's pretty much a science. The formula is actually quite simple. You need one clear central subject. You need minimal text, like 3 or 4 words max. You want colors that pop off the screen. And just a little element of mystery that makes someone have to click to find out more. You follow this formula, and trust me, you've already won half the battle.
Okay, so you've got your niche, you have the workflow, but who's actually going to do all this work? And maybe more importantly, what's it going to cost? Let's get into the nitty-gritty, the operational side of building and budgeting your content machine.
This is pretty much what a standard team looks like. You've got specialists for each part of that assembly line we just talked about: research, writing, voice, editing, design. And notice your role, right at the top, manager and owner. Your job isn't to be down in the weeds doing the work. It's to oversee the entire operation from a high level.
And where does the money actually go? Well, as this chart clearly shows, video editing is almost always the biggest single expense for each video. The script writing and the voiceover costs usually follow right behind. Understanding this cost hierarchy is really key to budgeting effectively, especially when you're just starting out.
So, what's the bottom line? Well, the all-in cost to produce one of these videos typically lands somewhere between $20 and $50. So no, it's not free, but it's a very concrete, manageable number that makes the investment feel really attainable.
All right, your content factory is up and running. Now for the really exciting part. What's the output? Let's talk about how these channels actually make money, and maybe more importantly, what a realistic timeline for growth actually looks like.
This chart breaks it down perfectly. The lion's share, that big slice of the pie, comes from YouTube ad revenue. That is your primary income, your bread and butter. But as the channel grows, you can start to add other streams, like affiliate marketing for products you mention, or even brand sponsorships down the line.
Now, time for a little dose of reality. Success does not happen overnight. The first couple of months are all about learning and testing. You're going to see very few views, and that's okay. But if you stay consistent, by months 3 to 5, you should start to see some traction.
And within a year, it's totally realistic for a channel to start earning anywhere from $500 to over $5,000 a month. It just really depends on your niche.
So we've covered the what and the how. Now it's time for probably the most important question of all. Should you do this? This last section here is a final reality check to help you decide if this model actually aligns with your goals and, your resources.
Let's start with what not to do. These are the classic channel killers. First, jumping between niches. It just confuses the algorithm and your audience. Next, we already talked about it. Poor thumbnails mean your great videos never get seen. Inconsistent uploads? That signals to YouTube your channel isn't reliable, so it gets pushed down. And finally, that mindset of expecting fast results, it just leads to burnout right before things could have taken off. Avoiding these pitfalls is honestly more than half the battle.
So, here it is, laid out as clearly as I can put it. You should think about starting if you are patient, if you can invest a small but consistent amount of money, and if you can commit to producing about 3 to 4 videos every single week. On the flip side, if you're looking for quick money or you think one lucky viral video is going to change everything, this model is probably not for you.
So, we've seen the blueprint. YouTube automation is all about building a system, a content machine that works for you. It demands strategy, it demands patience, and it demands a consistent investment. So the only real question left is, are you ready to start building yours?